Caroline, before we get around to party politics, can I just put it to you that what is the point of us voting at all, bearing in mind that Britain is leaving Europe?
Well, we're not convinced that Britain will leave the European Union. Theresa May promised over and over and over again that we would be out by March the 29th. We're not. We're still in there. And every single opinion poll for the last year or two has shown a growing majority to remain in the European Union. So we don't believe it's over yet, and we're going to carry on campaigning to stay in. So we believe that electing MEPs is a really positive thing to do, because hopefully they will sit in Brussels representing Britain's interests for the next 5 years.
I have to say, in the past, with our years and years of membership, we've never really featured, have we, the work of the European Parliament. For some reason, it's not been a sort of subject that our news agencies have taken much interest in, if Mr. Farage isn't there, of course.
I think that's part of the problem. I think people in this country didn't really understand the benefits they got from being in the EU. They didn't understand the work the EU was doing. The EU was painted by our right-wing media as this corrupt beast of a bureaucracy in Brussels that was taking our money and giving us nothing back. And actually that's really not true at all. And my professional life was mostly spent writing as a journalist, and I want to use those communication skills, if I get elected as an MEP, to try and help people understand what's great about the European Union and why we've benefited so much from being in there.
You, of course, as a Lib Dem, are not the only Remain party. Why should people vote Lib Dem and not for any of the other Remain parties?
Well, I think the local election results last Thursday show that the Liberal Democrats are back. 704 council gains across the country shows that people in their tens of thousands were putting their trust in the Liberal Democrats. We're the biggest, strongest Remain party in England. We got 7 times the vote of the Greens at the last general election. So we believe that a vote for the Liberal Democrats is an emphatic, unequivocal, clear message to Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn to stop Brexit. That's the platform we're standing on. As for Change UK, we don't believe that they've been around long enough to have the name recognition to win MEPs, and we're really disappointed that they decided to run, because all they're going to do is split the Remain vote. So it's really important that people vote for the Liberal Democrats, because we're the strongest Remain party with the clearest message.
Yes, because at the end of the day, it's not the Labour or the Tory candidates, if there are any, that you fear. It's Mr. Farage and his Brexit party, isn't it?
Well, I think the people who are going to vote for the Brexit Party or for UKIP are never going to vote for the Liberal Democrats. We're targeting different voters in this election. I think it would be a tragedy if the Brexit Party comes out with the highest number of MEPs after this election. We know that their supporters are good at voting, coming out to vote in European elections. So I think it's more important than ever that people who want to remain in the EU vote in this election and vote for a party that has a clear Remain message. I would say to any Remain voter who is in the Labour Party and who would normally vote Labour that at this election you cannot vote Labour, because they are not clear on their position, and your vote could be interpreted as a vote just to get on with it, as they were saying after the local election results. So I think Labour Remainers, if Remain is important to them, I think they need to lend us their vote in this election to give a clear message to Jeremy Corbyn that he has to come out in favour of a people's vote.
In many ways, this is a sort of practice run for another referendum, isn't it?
I think some people are viewing it like that. It is slightly more complicated, because obviously it's not a simple yes or no question, and there are different parties to vote for. So as well as expressing your Leave or Remain intention, you are choosing a party who hopefully, as I say, will represent you in the European Union. And the Liberal Democrat Party work really hard in Europe to with our values of freedom and tolerance and openness, and we've got really sound environmental policies. We pushed the EU really hard when we were in coalition to have stronger environmental policies, and that's one of the reasons we want to stay in there, is because of climate change. So I think people need to think about who they want representing them. Do they want to elect MEPs who won't even go to Brussels but will claim their salary and not show up at meetings, or people who will work really hard and go and do the job and actually represent British interests, which is what we will do?